Morning. It's Friday, August 14th. And I want to talk a little bit about Joe Biden's selection of Kamela Harris as his vice presidential running mate. I just finished listening to her speech, and she came out firing. She left no doubt in my mind that she is going to be a tough competitor. I will give you a quick listen to how she called out President Trump.
We're reeling from the worst public health crisis in a century. The president's mismanagement of the pandemic has plunged us into the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. And we're experiencing a moral reckoning with racism and systemic injustice that has brought a new coalition of conscience to the streets of our country, demanding change. America is crying out for leadership. Yet we have a president who cares more about himself than the people who elected him.
So I think that was pretty straightforward. He blames him for all the problems we're having at the pandemic and for the failing economy. And she managed to subtly mention our problems with racism and sexism that exists in the United States. There was no wishy-washiness about that entire segment. Now you can listen to Donald's response.
She is a person that's told many stories that weren't true. She's very big into raising taxes. She wants to slash funds for our military at a level that nobody can even believe. She did very poorly in the primaries, as you know. She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh, Judge Kavanaugh then, now Justice Kavanaugh. She was nasty. So she did very poorly in the primaries, and now she's chosen. So let's see how that all works.
So Donald basically called her a liar and went on to say how poorly she had done in the debates, and therefore she was a failure. And in his mind, he was going to look at her closely, but he didn't think there was much of a threat there. And he also later on at some point said Mike Pence will wash the floor at her when they have the vice presidential debate, just like he washed the floor with Tim Kaine. Now, I don't remember those debates, quite honestly, so I can't say categorically that Pence is a great debater or anything like that. But I can say that Kamela is a tough customer. She's a prosecutor, an assistant attorney general, then an attorney general and a senator. From what I can see, she can handle herself. So I don't think that there's going to be any big problem with her debating Mike Pence. Now, with respect to what happened after these speeches, and here's something that ought to throw Donald for a loop. This ticket of Biden and Harris has just raised over $26 million in one day for their campaign. Now, that's a large number. So Donald better be sure that he knows what he's doing, because he is in for a hell of a fight. That is my view right now. He is in for a hell of a fight. And Kamela has something going for her also with respect to large communities in this country. Forget the fact that she's a woman of color. Forget the fact that she's intelligent. Her story is the true American story. Her parents are immigrants from different parts of the world. Her mother came from India, came to the United States and got her PhD from the University of California, Berkeley, and was a prominent cancer researcher. She was very well known and respected in that community before she passed away in 2009. Her father was born in Jamaica, emigrated to the United States for a graduate degree, and eventually became a professor of economics at Stanford University. So these people came here to get ahead in the world. And they established something in their daughter that education was important and that you worked hard and you got somewhere. They were also very active in the civil rights movement. So Kamala Harris comes to the table with a great background in my mind. Now, I hadn't learned all these things until she became the vice presidential candidate. I was not necessarily in her corner before this time. But after reading about her pedigree, I am very satisfied with Biden choosing her. He didn't choose her for the color of her skin. He chose her for a lot more than that. And that, in my mind, is an important factor. Because when I looked at this thing, when I looked at the point of choosing somebody who should be the vice presidential candidate, I wanted the best possible person, not the sex that they were, not the color of their skin. I didn't care if they grew up in the Bronx or Manhattan or the Midwest or California. I wanted the best possible person. And from the looks of it and from the credentials I have seen, this woman is the best possible person. Now, I have heard stories from some of my friends who claim that she got ahead in the world because of Willie Brown, who was the former mayor of San Francisco. And Willie Brown was maybe her boyfriend, maybe even her lover. And he took care of her. So Willie Brown was her, as we used to say in the post office when I worked there, Willie Brown was her rabbi. And that may very well be the case. But that doesn't mean that this woman isn't the real thing. I don't think she would have gotten this far without being able to produce. It doesn't matter if you have a rabbi. That's just a way to get your foot in the door. In many cases, that's what you need. You need to be able to get your foot in the door. And then it's up to you. So don't believe all the stuff that you're probably going to hear about this woman. I think it's a great choice. I think that the Republicans are in for a tough fight. And as Kamela said later on in her speech, they need a mandate in this election. Winning it close is not going to do this thing. They have to win big in order to change the way America is thinking now. So I say to them, good luck, and let's have a great campaign. And with that, I think I'll hang up for now, and I'll see you in the morning. Bye.